Second. Countdown just finished in IRC.
I love the names that they've chosen. A Scream and good RNG.
It's pretty good. Alright, so right off the bat, we're already hit with a pretty heavy amount of RNG. This tutorial fight can go really, either way. You don't really have anything you can do at this point in the game other than just attack and hope that you crit him and don't get crit back. So you might see a 10-15 second time loss, like, just from dying.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a very beginner's level RPG, but regardless of whether you're speedrunning or playing it casually, you can definitely get wrecked by this behemoth right here.
Scratch getting crit already.
Nice. If you don't crit, it takes 4 swings of Ben's regular sword attack. He's got a little bit less than 75 HP, but 75 will take care of it in the end. But it looks like Scratch whiffed anyway, and so they're pretty much neck and neck.
2 misses he got right after that crit, so I guess RNG giveth and taketh away just as easily.
Oh my gosh, it's insane. It really is this game with the RNG. But now that Ben has lost his family, never mentions it again, and has killed the behemoth, the strange guy in the cloud told him, hey, you're the hero, you gotta go save everything. So we're gonna go into Foresta, and we're gonna pick up our first companion, which is Kaylee. Additionally, in this town, and you see it on Opus' screen, we're gonna pick up our first spell for Benjamin, which is gonna be the Cure spell, which is gonna come in handy, not actually for curing people so much in this first dungeon, in the first dungeons coming up, but for attacking the enemies.
Yeah, you might very rarely see Benjamin use Cure to actually heal, but I want to say it is just undead enemies that are, I know it's kind of bugged, I think it's just undead enemies that can be damaged by the Cure spell, but it is actually very useful in the first boss.
Right. Yeah, luckily I think that is one bug in this game that actually kind of makes sense.
Speaking of bugs, there is one with your partner that's already been activated that we like to call the resistance glitch. Kaylee here, despite being the first partner, actually has some in-game stats and resistances of the final partner of the game. So she gains a lot of useful stuff. She'll be taking 1 damage and will be able to take out quite a lot of stuff with just 1 swipe. I say quite a lot of stuff, but you only have it for 3 fights.
Yeah, but when Ben is all squishy and he dies easily, you need her to kill everything very quickly.
Mm-hmm. But that resistance glitch will actually be persisting throughout the entire game. All of our partners will have some very good resistances and some actually pretty helpful stat bonuses. As long as no one saves and quits and resets, their partners will always have that extra stuff.
We're coming up to the first sub-boss here, and so some monsters and some bosses aren't necessarily built in with a boss code on them. And in this case, even though the Minotaur is not considered an undead creature, life will actually destroy it in 1 shot, as you can see on Opus' screen. And there's quite a few bosses and then regular enemies that will be affected by this as we go through the game.
Yeah, the only really difficult part is that attacking with white magic can actually miss. None of the other magic classes can miss, but if you're attacking with life, or even the exit spell later, they can miss almost just as easily as Benjamin swinging.
Yeah, it seems to be very closely related to whatever accuracy they have with their weapon at the time, and can be affected by things like the blind spell.
Oh yeah, I noticed that one for sure. Just the other day, I feel. So we pick up Tristram here, who really isn't anything special. He crits when you don't need him to, and misses whenever you need him not to.
Pretty much, and he only comes equipped with a life spell. Unfortunately, though, even though life is fantastic spell, and it cures basically everything, including status effects within the battle screen. Your partner is never programmed to use it on themselves, so when Tristram gets to be low health in certain battles, we have to switch him over to manual and have him do it for himself.
Yeah, a lot of the time save in this game is actually swapping your partner between manual and auto. You gotta know what they're gonna do with auto, and it lets you save some menuing just by letting them do what you would have told them to do anyway.
Right, and there are certain little like keys and things that set off what they're going to do in auto. So, for instance, if Tristram had the heal spell, when Ben is below half health, or if he was below half health, then he would automatically use the cure spell on that person.
I guess that is one good thing about Tristram. If he had the cure spell at this point, he'd be using it quite a lot.
Yeah, it would be a big time waste.
Yeah, typically you won't even heal Benjamin until right before the boss, so it's just kind of there's really no reason to go heal him at this point because you're going to be defeating all of the enemies within one round anyway. And it doesn't really matter if you die because there's no experience loss or anything like that.
Right. Your partner's level is set, and any experience that you gain from the battle all goes to Ben at all times. But it looks like interesting formations, and Opus unfortunately getting a 3 monster formation. In the first dungeon, because of Ben and Tristram's level, we basically want to fight monster hordes of 2 or less. Fighting 3 would take more than 1 round and is a little bit dangerous sometimes, depending on the monster.
Yeah, those skeletons in particular can confuse you, which can really lead to some bad situations, such as Tristram throwing ninja stars into himself.
And of course, then he wouldn't miss.
Of course, right.
Is it speedrun, and we do want to get through them as fast as possible. So the quickest thing to do is what you see happening on both screens is they'll run and they'll come back in. But Opus is not having the best of luck here.
Scratch having an unfortunate miss there on Tristram, but I think he should. Oh, another one.
Oh my gosh. For God's sakes, Tristram, get it together.
There we go. So Opus is going to be picking up the seeds here. The seeds will completely refill your magic charges. Magic kind of works on a charge system in this game. There's no MP or anything. But seeds will restore all of those charges. And we actually need to have them in the first inventory slot. So picking them up right now is very needed for a glitch coming up here a bit later.
Right, and it's also going to become very important as we go into the next area as well, because the next partner that we're going to pick up is very, very magic heavy. So we need to make sure that she has the right amount of charges for whatever spell she needs coming up.
What you might also see is if there's an unfavorable encounter, you can actually duplicate usable items by using them and then canceling out of the menu and then running away from the fight. You'll actually duplicate whatever it is you tried to use. So, Tristram missing again. So you'll actually see them dupe, I think 2 is the minimum amount of seeds that they need.
I think it depends. If they pick up Quake, then they'll probably only duplicate 2. If they did not pick up the Quake spell, then they'll probably duplicate 3. I saw Opus pick up the Quake spell, so he will only probably duplicate 2 seeds.
I see. And it combines really well with, running away from a 3 formation enemy. So that's actually, it's not that bad to get a run formation like Scratch keeps getting, in fact.
Yeah. And here, Opus on the Flamosaur Rex. So Flamosaur is basically the first of the real bosses here. He's holding essentially what equates to the Earth Elemental Crystal. And as you can see, a lot of the monsters have different dying animations, so to speak. And the bosses, I think, have 4 each. But the Flamosaur, he can, like everything in this game, it can be trolly with RNG. So we want the Flamosaur to do a large amount of his attacking on Tristram and not so much on Ben, because Ben dies in basically 1 or 2 hits depending on if he's crit or not. And Ben is going to do more damage with his cure spells than Tristram is going to do with his ninja stars.
Yeah, he's going to use that Rip Earth spell, which is, an AoE quick spell. He's going to be using that a little more whenever he gets low on health, as he keeps spamming it here on Opus, but he's almost down. I think he just gets his cure off, he'll be fine. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh.
Oh no! So, we don't save in this game at all, not even for safety reasons, because as you can see, if you die to anything, all you have to do is say, hey, no, I don't give up, let's restart the battle. But just like that, Scratch Dragon is now in the lead.
Yeah, if one of your partners is dead or petrified, the other one takes the full damage of any attack that would have hit both characters. So whenever Benjamin went down there on Opus' sides, Tristram ate the damage for both characters, which is why he took so much more damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, Opus waited a little bit too long to heal Tristram back up. Usually, when Tristram gets to be around half health, you wanna use life, have him use life on himself so that he's restored most of the way.
Yeah, one thing you can actually do with the auto, putting your partner on automatic, if they're on auto and they actually don't determine what they're going to do until their turn. So if, say, the enemy kills Benjamin, and then your partner will actually swap their turn to using life on Benjamin, and Benjamin will still take his turn as if nothing happened. So you don't actually lose your turn until like it would have passed. And both players taking down the dragon. Opus had a little issue there.
But they're still pretty close because Scratch Dragon didn't have the cleanest of Flamosaur fights.
Yep.
But we've released the first crystal. Life will be restored to the ground in this area. And Tristram, being the sleazy guy he is, he's going to throw us the elixir that he should have just let us have to begin with.
And steals the hook shot while he's at it.
God damn it, Tristram.
Alright, both players picking up the sand coin. You don't want to forget that. That's definitely needed, and it's a long trek back if you gotta come get it.
Yes, some of us may have forgotten coins at one time or another. Only the first 2 coins, because of the way we do things, actually have to be picked up. But they are pretty essential and hard to get back to if you do not.
I haven't forgotten one yet in my time playing this game, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
Not in a race setting, but once just for practice, I forgot the sand coin. That was fun. That was a reset.
Oh no. So, just a small trek out of this place, because we can't escape dungeons quite yet.
But
then
luckily,
we gotta go... Go ahead.
Luckily, all the monsters that we killed on the way in stay dead, and we do not have to re-defeat them.
Yep, you're going to see both players picking up the steel shield up here. We could have gotten it earlier, but there's really no reason to walk back all the way to pick it up. It's going to give the players just a small bit of evasion and speed, actually, which is significant, because it's going to make them slightly faster than a couple enemies in the next area.
Right, and they're picking up the next thing that we need for the inventory, which is the cure potions. And these are all being picked up in a very specific order, as Meekin started to mention. The order is going to determine how we affect our inventory later on when we do the first glitch.
Yeah, if you want to pick up, the cure potions need to be in the second slot, which they are now after the seeds. And you need to make sure you don't, use them.
Yeah,
I don't think your partner will ever actually do it unless they're out of white magic, I think.
And I think Phoebe's usually pretty good about using her own magic first. It's usually Kaylee later in the game who uses your item inventory before using her own magic.
Wow.
But that seems to only be for the heal potions.
Oh yeah, and at that point you kind of want her to do that anyway.
Right. So we fixed Kaylee up, we gave her the elixir, now she's not poisoned anymore, but she still needs a rest. So we're going to make our way through the focus tower into the next area, which is Aquaria. So since these two are more advanced runners, neither one of them will be picking up the fire spell in here, and in all honesty, it really is only useful for the ice golem fight, and It's not a huge difference because the bombs do quite a significant amount of damage, on the order of about 400 HP damage to the ice golem. You just have to make sure that you have enough bombs in your inventory to get to that point.
Yeah, you'll see them. They went very slightly out of their way to pick up more bombs, maybe just a square or two extra, and it's definitely worth it just to make sure you don't run out, because there's going to be a
Right.
lot of bombing in this next area.
Oh yes, quite a lot. But we picked up Phoebe. Phoebe is our magic-intensive partner here, and Phoebe is very nice to have because her AI, at least in this part of the game, kind of knows monster weaknesses in terms of magic. So she, as long as there is a group of monsters that is exactly the same, like 2 scorpions or 3 hedgehogs or whatever it might be, as long as they're all the same, so you see on scratchdragon's screen they're all exactly the same monster, you leave Phoebe on auto, she's like, hey, fire will eradicate all of these guys, I can just use fire on all of them. But if even one of the monsters is different, then she gets a little bit confused and you have to manually use whatever their weakness is.
Yeah, so on Opus's side, you'll see that. Oh, I don't think he meant to do that, did he? Oh well.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you need to manually cast fire on all 3 of them, but I think that's what she would have done on auto, so it kind of worked out. She would have just single fired the one enemy. On Scratch's side here, you'll see the reason we pick up the Quake spell. These worm enemies are weak to them, and you don't have to use Phoebe's magic. You can save her thunder casts for later.
Right. It's the main difference in the very small route variation. Just if you dupe the extra C just to recharge her thunders. If you don't happen to pick up the Quake. But both of them picked it up, so they probably only dupe 2 seeds apiece. Story-wise, we come into this wintry cave. Phoebe's like, hey, you know, there's this wake water underneath this temple that you found me in, basically, but we need the Libra Crest to get it. I know where the Libra Crest is, and this is the cave where the Libra Crest is, and that's what we're doing here right now.
Oh yes, the wake water. Such an important plot point, and it's certainly going to help out quite a bit later.
Right, because, you know, this wake water, of course, is going to be the magic thing that unfreezes all of the area.
All over the plants.
Everything, all over the Aquaria area, including the waterfall and everything else. Basically, Phoebe's grandfather Spencer is underneath the house right now, and he kind of got frozen in. So she's trying to rescue him, and she needs the water to unfreeze in order to do that. And the only way to do that, you need that wake water to unfreeze everything.
So Scratch is coming up on these centaur enemies here. They like to confuse you. I don't know if they do anything else their first turn but confuse, actually. But it's entirely possible for them to take their turn before Benjamin bombs them, which means that if they decide to confuse him, it might get a little bit hairy. But just a quick thunder and bomb, and they're taken out.
Yeah, it's always a pain in the butt when the centaurs get their turns first. I mean, sometimes you're lucky, like you saw on Opus's screen, they only confuse Phoebe, and then Ben was able to get his bomb attack off. But sometimes you're not so lucky, and they confuse both you and Phoebe.
Yeah, and then Phoebe decides to use her spell charges, and then it all goes downhill.
Yep, and then you end up having to dupe extra seeds and waste time, and yeah, it's not fun.
This triple landworm fight here on Scratch's side is where I like to dupe my final seeds if I didn't get any in Bone Dungeon.
Yeah, when I was first starting, you definitely, part of the routing is needing to learn the best places to dupe them. And I like that idea.
Man, they can menu so fast. I'm jealous. A lot of the extra time saves you'll see in this game are just pure menuing. There's zero lag in menuing in battle menus, so you can, as fast as your fingers you go, you can go. But I mean, you gotta know where the memory cursor has highlighted, you know, what you're on. You gotta know if your partner's on manual or auto. You gotta make split decisions like that.
Yeah, a big part of learning this game is definitely learning the weaknesses for each of the different monster formations that you're going to encounter along the way. I mean, granted, there are variations to it, and there are other things that will get rid of them, but there is always certain ways that are much faster than others.
Yeah, you only have a split second to determine, okay, where do I need to menu to beat this mob pack in one turn? Like, where was my cursor on the previous fight, and where do I need to move it to, you know, cast Thunder on these guys, or swap partner to auto real quick. Anyway, Scratch is going into the Squidite fight here. Thanks to the resistance glitch buffs, Phoebe can pretty much just tank this entire fight without ever needing to heal. Benjamin helps in cleaning up the birds at the very start, but other than that, he's pretty expendable.
Yeah, if Benjamin dies in the course of this fight, we don't even bother bringing him back.
Just using Phoebe's basic attack is enough to... Oh, Scratch getting an unfortunate miss and then got blinded on Phoebe.
I think Opus had a miss the first time too. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, down goes Ben on Opus's side, but I don't think it's going to be any issue. Nice crit.
On Opus's side. That's what you really want her to do, is you want her to get a couple of crits in, because it knocks out the Squidite much faster. And just like that, Opus is in the lead again.
Oh, and a crit on the final shot for Scratch. So they're still pretty close, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Scratch taking just a second to cure up Ben, so I guess Opus has got to do that at some point too.
Yeah, probably before the waterfall area. Unfortunately, you only get a full recovery after the main elemental bosses in this game.
I guess like the first two fights at the Falls Basin those are all just two enemies, I think, so you don't need to heal him for that, but I think the rest of them are all three.
Usually, it does depend, of course. Sometimes you can get lucky and only get like 2 Lamias. But either way, the Thunder usually knocks them out in one turn, as long as you don't have a hag mixed in. But we got our Libra Crest, so we're going to go back to the Libra Temple, and we're going to get the Wake Water because it's going to solve all of our problems.
All problems.
Like, that's it. Everything is fixed. What could possibly go wrong? Except that there's no more Wake Water. But that old man on the cloud, the weird guy from the beginning, he happens to have a bottle of it, and Phoebe is still convinced, hey, this small bottle is still going to fix everything.
Some heroes beating up this old guy just to take his water.
If you ever played this game casually as a kid, you probably talked to that old guy in the cloud everywhere. That is the only mandatory part, aside from the beginning, of course, where you're forced to talk to him to progress the game. If you do not talk to him at that spot, you can actually softlock the game.
Oh, wow.
I learned that the hard way through randomizer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try randomizer in this game at some point. I don't know.
It is a lot of fun. I definitely suggest it. But, gee, the small bottle of Wake Water only brings back one plant. That's a problem, because Phoebe can't free Spencer that way, so we're gonna have to go and get the water crystal back.
As strong as her magic is, you'd think that she'd just cast fire on it. I guess she might burn that house down. Okay, don't do that.
Oh my goodness.
Both players are in the... I think this is the only block pushing puzzle in the game. And you can actually skip about, I want to say a quarter or a third of this dungeon by some clever usage of blocks.
Yeah, we're basically going to push the blocks in such a way that we skip the entire upper right-hand corner of this dungeon.
I love the damage sprite on the hags. They're just really surprised. What the heck's going on? I was just standing here.
Some ice golem told me to stand here, and I did. Now look what's happening to me.
So here on Opus' side, here's the fun little block pushing part. You just kind of push the blocks and reuse this other one from the start, and you can create a nice little path that you can just hop over straight to the boss.
Right, because normally you would push one block in between, and then you would go to the upper right-hand side and come around to the crab in the center, but yeah, this is much faster.
Gonna grab the heal spell here, and go right into the snow crab fight. So this is one of the few fights where you might actually opt to use the axe to attack. The snow crab is actually weak to axe attacks, but you have to deal with it being able to miss, while the bombs never miss. They're balanced by the fact that they also can't crit. But I feel like the potential crit is not as good as never missing.
Well, the animation for the axe is also a little bit faster.
Oh, that is true, yeah.
But a few thunders from Phoebe will easily take care of the snow crab. But in this fight, unlike with the last one, you do kind of want Ben to stay alive for a little bit of extra damage. And in cases of confusion.
Well, it worked out, I guess. And then after the fight, Phoebe teaches us to use the second tier bomb. Unfortunately, she didn't teach us how to use it before the fight, only after the fight. But ooh, scary moment there on Scratch's side. Phoebe with 40 health left and Benjamin down.
Oh, it's still not out of the woods yet though, because Phoebe keeps getting confused on scratchdragon's side.
He's not really hurt all that much yet either.
Yeah, this is gonna give Opus a bit of a lead here. So it looks like on Opus' side that he just had a random encounter. But it seemed like all the way through the other part of the game so far, the monsters were just standing there. So the monsters in the pyramid are actually invisible for whatever reason, I don't know why. But if you do want to actually expose them, all you have to do is go all the way to the right side of the pyramid and pick up the magic mirror like they would do in 100%, and the monsters appear after a gush of magical wind. But we know where they are, and we know what they are, so having them show themselves is kind of pointless, and we don't really want to go all the way over to the right-hand side to pick up the mirror. It's not worth it.
Yeah, the monsters are invisible, but I don't think there's actually, as long as you know exactly where to go, I don't think there's like any enemies that you need to dodge. Like, it might make sense if there was an enemy in like a 2-tile path that, oh, I need to go up here so I don't hit this enemy on the bottom side. That might make sense, but I mean, you have to run into them and fight them anyway. So exactly. I don't see, it's a little weird.
Well, the thing is, though, is if you're really exploring the pyramid because you're either unsure of where to go or you're just a completionist and you like to get everything, there are a couple that are kind of in a weird place, but that's really it.
Yeah, on the main path. Sorry?
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, but on the main path, it's, you know, not really an issue at all. It's just really strange.
Yeah, there's another kind of area that's similar to this in the area we skipped completely. The base of the volcano actually has like some kind of a gas covering a lot of the monsters that you can't see. So you get the gas mask to expose them, and in that case, there actually are some monsters along the main path that are kind of in weird places, and if you don't step properly, you could bump into them.
Oh, I see. I haven't been there in so long. Ooh. Scary petrifier there on Opus' side. I'm sure he'll be fine, but yeah, those birds have a petrify skill, and they don't use it all that often, and it feels like it actually petrifies even less, but it's just something to keep in mind that it's possible.
Yeah, it's super, super annoying, basically. Especially when they do the double petrification, and then, oops, now I gotta restart this round. This dungeon is... There's 3 dungeons that are pretty long in this game as we go through it. And this is probably the 3rd longest of those dungeons. Considering that it's still the first half of the game, I think it's a little bit lengthy for what it is.
I agree with that.
Yeah, especially this floor that Opus is on right now. Having to go all the way to one side just to poke the switch to open the door, and then having to go all the way to the other side. And there is like 5 monsters or so on each side. It's so annoying.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that is like 10 encounters on just this one floor. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, none of the other floors are like this. It's just this one floor. But it makes the dungeon feel so much longer.
Well, it certainly does.
Oh, so something else we can talk about here. A lot of the monsters, monster formations on this floor actually require you to use Benjamin's bombs and to defend with BB. So the defense mechanism in this game is kind of interesting. If you are defending your partner, regardless of what attack the monsters throw out at you, even if it's meant to hit both of you, like a quake or whatever AoE attack, it will only affect your partner, and it will only affect them for the amount of damage they would have taken anyway, which is kind of nice. Unlike in the first fight where the Flammasaur used Quake and Tristram got double shot, basically.
Yeah, while Benjamin is dead, your partner will take full damage from attacks that hit both characters. But if the other character is defending an alive character, they only take the one, I guess, tick of damage. I guess you could call it that. The one instance of damage rather than 2 that you would think.
Yeah, it comes in handy a lot during these monster fights, and it comes in handy a lot during the boss fights too. There is no point in this run in which we pick up life for Benjamin, so we totally are relying on our partners to bring us back to life if necessary, and a lot of the times to heal us up as well. So if something does happen to our partner and they're very low on health, occasionally you will see people defending them with Benjamin, so that they can have the time to cure themselves and bring themselves back up to full health, because Benjamin we can just life in the next round.
I know I've had to do that quite a few times on, I think, Pazuzu, in fact.
Of course it would be the jerk bird.
So these mages are kind of jerks. They all have the cure spell, but actually the steel shield we picked up gives you enough speed to where you can outspeed them the majority of the time, I'd say. Because it turns into quite a bit longer fight if they start healing themselves before you can bomb them.
Yeah, it adds an extra round or 2 depending on what they actually end up doing.
We're gonna see Opus here walk up these stairs and then just immediately jump down. This is the little pit where you find the noble armor, which gives you water resistance, which is very, very useful for not only for this boss, but I guess for the rest of the game.
Right. Opus also picked up the last of the items that we're going to need for the inventory glitch, which is the heal potion. So now there is 1 item in each of the 4 top slots. And as Megan was saying, the order is extremely important because the order is going to partially determine what happens to the inventory when we do the glitch. If you change something in a different spot than we're going to right now, it ends up affecting your inventory differently.
Alright, and there's the noble armor. It also gives you poison resistance in addition to water resist, but that's, not nearly as important. Poison is not that dangerous in this game. It's more of a time loss than anything because you gotta wait for the numbers to tick after every turn. Phoebe really likes to crit on these birds, I feel.
Well, flying types and arrows don't mix, luckily.
It's true.
I love the plucked birds. It's fantastic. For
Shot.
all of the things that they did so strangely in this game, they really did well with the animations.
Oh yeah, the monster sprites are just so good. Thunder. Is that how you want to deal with that formation? I mean, I guess it
No.
doesn't miss. I'd think just an attack on the bird and then bombs.
Yeah, I would have saved him a thunder spell. Also, something you don't want to do is you do not want to change items while you're falling, because there is a chance the game will soft lock.
Oh gosh. After battles is fine though, right? And maybe
Yes.
screen transition, or maybe like normal, like in dungeon screen transitions, or not that.
Yeah, no, that's all fine. Or even while like mini cutscenes are going on while they're conversing with each other, you can change it then. But for some reason, while you're falling, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, of course, but there is a chance of it happening. Why would you want to risk that? There's nowhere that you save your game.
Huh. For some reason, I thought it was like overworld map transitions. Can that do it too?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm confusing the two.
I don't think I've ever tried it
But
that way.
Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind because that's a little scary.
So,
Alright, Opus is one more fight before getting to the boss. And he gets to use all of his thunders on these fights, and the boss actually doesn't need any thunders, so he doesn't actually have to seed up before the boss.
well, at this point he should be out of seeds anyway, so.
That's true, you're right.
But being an ice golem, he's gonna be weak to fire, so that's what we're gonna use on him. So, Ice Golem, another one of the elemental bosses, we're going to be using fire as was stated earlier, and then Ben's bombs, because Benjamin's bombs, it's also kind of like a fiery type attack, so it does a fair amount of damage to him. The Ice Golem is slowly going to melt, and when he gets to a certain point, he's going to start spamming this water kind of drain attack that heals himself. Normally, the resistance glitch would allow your partner to actually kind of reverse what a drain attack would do, so they would be healed and the enemy would actually be damaged, but unfortunately this is the one attack where that does not work. So if the Ice Golem gets off too many of those spells, he can actually recover and go back a phase.
Yeah, and he's going to be spending that a lot more as he gets lower on health.
Yeah, especially when he gets into the really melty puddle phase and he really spams it.
I don't know, do you know how much Ben's fire would do on this?
I don't think it's terribly much more than the bombs actually do. I think it's still within the 400 to 500 range.
Opus taking a sleep, but I think that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely fine.
Very
Yes.
nice.
See you later, dude.
Very good.
I was expecting that ice block to actually take Ben out. I didn't realize it did actually a lot less than I thought it would.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. Sometimes when they're asleep, the monster will do a little bit more damage. But we'll pick up our river coin and we're gonna make our way out of this place.
Walking out of here feels almost as long as walking through it.
But let's hope that Scratch Dragon has as nice a Ice Golem fight here coming up. This will be the last time that we have to backtrack all the way through a dungeon, though. The next stop is going to be to get the exit spell from the battlefield.
I think Phoebe got crit. I don't think she would have taken that much damage otherwise.
No, she won't, but luckily she was at full health when she got crit. Yeah, magic, the monster's magic and attacks can do crit damage, but our magic? Of course not.
Imagine Phoebe critting with thunder.
That would be like the best thing ever.
So leaving this dungeon, you want 10 or more bombs. Opus has 11, so he's not going to have to pick up that extra bomb chest down there.
He kept good track of his bomb count. A lot of people end up with almost no bombs by the time they're done with the Ice Golem fight.
I totally punched the Ice Golem once.
Yeah, anytime you or your partner run out of disposable items like the arrows or the bombs or the ninja stars, yeah, you just kind of punch the enemies.
I think the text says bare hands.
Wow, what a nice Ice Golem fight. Holy crap.
Oh yeah, both characters having not much health left, but he took a... He might have been counting HP, because he definitely wasn't scared.
That's always a good thing, because then you know when they're close enough to death and you can just kind of YOLO stuff. Going through this battlefield, those squids are what we want to see. Sphinxes are what we don't want to see, because we can take out the squids in just one bomb hit. We can't do that with the Sphinxes because their first attack is to confuse us, so we always will run away from those. The average is about 3 Sphinxes for the battlefield, but let's hope that this is the only one Opus gets here.
I believe in my my first tournament match, I had... I know it was above 10.
What?
I had a pretty bad... I gotta go back and check. It was pretty up there.
That is a hell of a lot of Sphinxes, man.
Yeah, luckily my second one was a lot better. But Benjamin here, being blind doesn't really matter, because as we said earlier, bombs actually never miss, so the blind status effect doesn't really matter. And I guess the confusion kind of overwrites it. Oh wait, no it doesn't. Never mind. I didn't know you could have 2 status effects like that.
Yeah, unfortunately you can. It's up to 3 Sphinxes now, I believe, which is, again, the average, so hopefully, please don't more Sphinxes, please.
Scratch picked up his safety bombs right at the exit, which they're like 1 square out of the way to pick them up. I think it's always a good idea to grab them.
Well, I mean, if you don't have enough to get through these 10 fights, wow, I can word, then you kind of have to anyway, because the only thing Ben has to really knock out the squids is the bombs. No! Opus got a 4th Sphinx!
You're now below average. Alright.
There we go, okay. So now we have the exit spell in hand, and unlike a lot of other games where we just use exit to get out of dungeons faster, we're going to use exit to exit the enemies from the battlefield. And it's going to be wonderful.
Yep, instant kill on enemies. You don't get any money or experience for enemies that are killed this way, but it doesn't matter. At this point, you also need to make sure... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were going to say it.
Okay. I was going to say, at this point, you need to make sure that you're completely out of seeds. You need that first inventory slot empty to perform our inventory glitch coming up here.
Yeah, plus we really want to keep a close eye on Ben's level at this point. Even though we want him to be about level 15, optimally 16 when he gets to the next boss coming up. If he is too high of a level at the end of the game, it's going to change the strats that we use on the end game boss. So we really do have to keep somewhat of an eye on what Ben's level is. But, so let's talk a little bit about the glitch coming up here. So this game has a very strange mechanic where you can actually buy 0 items from people in the stores. So we emptied out the seed slot, and we're going to go and buy 0 seeds. The inventory is going to show that we have 0 seeds, but by using that, it gets a little confused, and we underflow it to get 255 seeds in our inventory. Again, the inventory is confused, and we end up with coins in the second slot. So to complete this glitch, Opus bought 19 cure potions, and the cure potions were kind of supposed to go in that second slot where the coins are. So in its final act of confusion, by trying to put cure potions where they don't fit anymore, it gives us the other coin as well. So we now have the fire coin and the sky coin, and do not have to pick up any more as we go through the rest of the game. This also, of course, allows us to skip the entire Fireberg area.
Yeah, we can head straight towards the lower right section of the world map without anything standing in our way, really. I mean, none of the plot triggers up there are important at all. We're about to lose our sandwich that we would have had.
Oh no, my sandwich!
Maybe he'll win this time. Oh, nope.
God damn it, sandwich.
So here's the power of the exit spell. And there you go. Instantly kills pretty much any non-boss enemy.
Yep, and because we now skipped a quarter of the game, Ben is super underleveled for this area. And we need him to kind of possible before they do him in. Yeah,
the exit spell is really the only way Benjamin is going to be useful for quite a while now, actually. I mean, being able to instantly kill an enemy is great, because you don't have to worry about his low damage output compared to the enemies that are here. Speaking of low damage output, we have Tristram again. And, this triple mummy fight is not what you want to see. Tristram actually takes 3 attacks to kill a mummy normally, unless he critical hits.
Yep.
So, as Opus is doing, it's probably more beneficial just to have Tristram defend Benjamin while Benjamin just exits the mummies.
Yeah, but we definitely don't want to see 3 mummies here because it takes a long time to get through that battle. But of course, there's only so many times you can run away from things and come back into it, because you're losing about 10 seconds every time you do run away and come back into the battle. So after a while, the time save of running away and trying to get a better formation just isn't worth it. Luckily with these ghosts here, Tristram can one-shot them, so it is a bit of an easier battle.
Yeah, Opus had an unfortunate first turn there. Both of his characters missed. So you see, like, as strong as Exit is, it can still miss, because attacking white magic can miss. And I believe the Tristram's ability to one-shot those ghosts, I don't think that would be possible without the resistance glitch.
No, it would not.
So there's just one more benefit of that.
Yeah, that's actually the case with a couple of enemies as you go through the game, and I'm very curious as to why scratchdragon is walking across the bridge instead of exiting.
You have exit. You actually don't need to walk this way. Despite not crossing the bridge, you can exit and still cross the bridge.
Yeah, sometimes we just forget that we have exit in our inventory sometimes, so it does happen.
I'm definitely guilty of that in the Windia plot run around. I'll forget it sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we have this big tree here in the forest, and we want to get in because we need to progress the story, but tree doesn't like us. It doesn't like Ben, and it doesn't like Tristram. But
Our axe
luckily,
isn't scary enough.
It's not big enough to be scary. But luckily, Kaylee has made it to Aquaria, and we somehow know this. I don't know how. Probably we just like, oh yeah, she's
We're the
going
hero,
off to save her dad, yeah. But we're gonna go to Aquaria and we're gonna get Kaylee back.
And all she's done this whole time is sleep. And sleepwalk to Aquaria, I suppose. So both her and her axe had a nice nap, and they are both crazy leveled up now. Oh, but first you gotta walk down Spencer's tunnel here, which is unnecessarily long.
Oh my gosh, there were so many casual triggers in this game to be like, oh yeah, go talk to Spencer. Oh no, I do not want to walk down this waterfall again. But again, like with the old man, this is the only time you must go down there because it has to progress the plot. Technically, if you go down after getting the river coin, he gives you the Venus key so that you can get the Venus shield, which is nice if you're playing casually and then going into the volcano area, but not necessary to keep the game going.
Yeah, you can see on Scratch's side, Tristan got power drained. These ghosts can actually lower his attack power, which makes him unable to one-shot them. So he had to go in a little extra turn right there, but cleaned it up without. I don't know, Tristan is a little low on health. That was like a little scary, I guess. Oh, Phoebe's showing us how not to use bombs.
God damn it, Phoebe. I love how fast she runs out of there, and then I cry because I want to move that fast.
No, she messed up.
It's like, oops, see ya.
Oh no! Opus used his last white magic cast on that cure, so he didn't have enough to cast exit. Luckily, we have all those seeds now, so magic is not an issue for the rest of the game.
Right, but he would have had to refresh him anyway because we want to exit out after getting Kelly into our party too. So you probably see the two of these guys using the sword quite a lot. So when we picked up the sword in the ice pyramid, it also had the nice little bonus of giving Ben a speed stat boost. And we need all the help we can get in this part of the game. So having the sword equipped gives Ben a slight chance to outpace some of the enemy formations, and it will also make running away from a fight much, much easier. If you do not have the sword equipped after a certain point, it's almost impossible to run away from some of the monsters.
Yeah, having the claw equipped gives you a small magic buff, and while we are casting magic with Benjamin, the exit spell doesn't do damage. So, you know, as long as you're faster, it doesn't matter how much damage you do, because exit just one-shots the enemies.
Right. Once we actually get into the heavy-hitting wizard spells like Meteor and Flare, then we're going to want the claw on a little bit more often. But for now, speed is what we want.
Opus making a good play to run away from that fight. The exit missed on the ninja, and he cloned himself, so he had two ninjas.
For God's sakes.
So this small detour nets us the arrow spell for ourselves, which will be very, very useful for some bosses. There's a lot of enemies. Like, I would say the majority of enemies from here on are actually weak to wind. So it's really nice that they give us the wind spell, and Kaylee comes with it as well.
Your partner is equipped with just what you need.
Mm-hmm. Except petrify resistance.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not a thing. Partner actually, like if you're playing casually, I forget which one actually has petrify resistance, but somebody does.
I believe it's Kaylee right now, actually.
Sense.
Right. So this would be one of the few situations where it'd be pretty useful to, you know, not have the resistance glitch activated, but you can't turn it on again afterwards. So, and it just helps that much later that you kind of need to keep it on. So you kind of have to deal with not having petrify resistance.
Yeah, with all of the testing that has been done on the routes over the years, the big guns in this speedrun have determined that having Phoebe's endgame resistance is the best one to have.
I think it would be kind of interesting to be able to swap like mid-run, you want to save and quit to have these new resistances, but being unable to go back to the old ones is really, really hard.
Yeah, this is another area, like you were talking about with Tristram not being able to one-shot the ghost without the resistance glitch. Kaylee is actually not able to kill the toads in the tree here without the resistance glitch either.
Oh, huh.
So there are definitely quite a few areas where having a little bit of extra attack power comes in handy for your partner. But welcome to the longest dungeon in the game, ladies and gentlemen. This tree is...
I want out.
There's a ridiculous amount of different formations to deal with and to think about in this tree. And unlike in Pazuzu's Tower, where the length of it can vary depending on where the bird is, there's no variation to this. You're just kind of stuck going to the top of the tree to get to Gidra.
At least it has a good variety of enemies. You have to change your strategies up quite often, like depending on which floor you're on.
It's kind of frustrating sometimes, though, especially because you want the speed most of the time, but you need to actually grapple across stuff in this game. Like right here, you need to grapple across the tree branches.
There's a lot of item swapping in this dungeon. And you gotta open doors with the sword, too.
Yep. So this is definitely the place where you need to be thinking on your feet really fast.
What do I need next? You see Opus there just kind of fiddling with his weapons. Crap, what do I need next? Oh yeah, and you need axes at some point in here too.
Right, because you need to chop down the little mushrooms.
I mean, I guess as long and boring as it is, I can't say it doesn't have variance, because it certainly does. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know.
Well, at least it keeps it interesting, but by this time of the game, you're about halfway done with your run. And
right. I don't feel like it's that boring for the player, because there's always something you need to be doing.
Kelly's AI in this game is not as smart as Phoebe's, even though she has some magical ability. So a lot of the time we're going to keep Kelly on manual here, especially when we get to the oozes later in the tree. The oozes are the first monsters that come equipped with a reflect spell, basically. So if Kelly or Ben is unfortunate enough to attack them with magic, unlike other games where if your magic gets reflected back at you, it's usually reflected at a portion of the damage. This game is like, nope, have the full brunt.
Yeah, you'd be hit with almost 1,000 damage if you're single targeting, or even if you're dual targeting, I suppose. I don't even know how that works.
Good, regardless.
Yeah, that also does make them immune to the exit spell, so you're gonna have to spend the extra turns whittling down all of their HP because you can't just instantly kill them.
Luckily, though, the Dragon Claw that also gives us a bit of a magic boost has the potential to petrify enemies when you hit them with it. So therefore, you can kind of one-shot them that way, but it's basically a crapshoot if it's going to work or not.
Mm-hmm. And even though they are weak to bombs, it still takes a full round, or 2 full rounds of bombing to actually take them out. The random 1 damage from spells is odd. I believe that's mostly status effect magic that does that. Like the attack or defense down attacks. I believe their main purpose is just the status effect and the damage needed to be tied to it, maybe?
Yeah, like the I can't think right now. My brain is dead. The tan whirlwinds, I think, are there to reduce speed, but they do a little bit of damage on the side, like 1 damage on Kaylee or like 11 or 30 on Ben.
Yeah, I guess it would make sense. I guess I would expect them to do like a little more damage or no damage. Like doing only 1 damage is kind of weird.
It's like maybe a venom attack in another Final Fantasy game where the main purpose is to poison you, but it does a little bit of damage at the same time.
So Opus is most of the way through, and Scratch Dragon is just starting these leech fights. Oh no, not the dungeon, just the leech fights. So the difference between 3 leeches and 2 leeches is quite a difference. If there's 2 leeches, Kaylee can take them both out like instantly, but if there's 3, you're gonna have to eat their attacks. And hope Ben doesn't die to get his attack off as well.
Yeah, and the strategies in these 3 leech fights tend to vary from runner to runner. Some people will do as you see Opus doing. They'll do a tackle with arrow with both party members. Some people will want to get rid of one of the leeches as fast as possible, and will have Kaylee either attack or use arrow on one of them, just so that there's less chance of Ben dying so easily.
I feel like I've just kind of stopped healing Ben in this section.
Yeah, sometimes it just becomes more trouble than it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Like, if Kaylee has probably 800 or 900 HP, she's fine. So, unless she falls behind or below that, I feel like there's really no point in healing Ben during a lot of these sections.
Right, and the leeches aren't going to heal themselves, because as you can see, even if they use the drain attack on Kaylee, they're going to end up damaging themselves instead. So worst comes to worst, if Ben does die before he gets the arrow spell off, then you just take an extra turn. Man, I hate those toads. Those toads are awful.
Yeah, toads are pretty scary. Do they have a paralyze and petrify both, or maybe just one?
I think they have both.
Pretty nasty.
Luckily, there's only 2 fights where you have to encounter the toads here. They may get thrown in elsewhere, but it's fairly rare that it happens. But this is the other fight where you must encounter a toad.
Thank you, resistance glitch. Getting just enough power to take them out.
Yeah, seriously.
I feel like Opus is... This might be like completely wrong, but it seems like he's exiting a lot. I'm not sure if he's going to get 16.
Well, the Gidra fight is
by the
still
time the boss.
possible at 15. It's just a little bit more difficult. I think the main thing is that you need to be level 16 by the time you get to the Dullahan fight. That's much more important.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen not 16 by then.
Oh, no, I don't think so either. You would have to have some ridiculous battle formations to not be level 16.
The 1 leech fights everywhere.
If only the one leech fights were a thing.
These 2 ooze fights are just so annoying. Kaylee just barely can't kill them, and a jumbo bomb doesn't really help either. So they're guaranteed 2 rounds.
Yeah, if you get lucky, the ooze will suicide itself with the drain attack.
It's possible just to have Kaylee defend Benjamin and have him use 2 bombs, but you can't do that all that often because you're going to run out of bombs if you have to do that.
Yeah, we still need a few bombs for Pazuzu's tower as well, and the end game.
There's that paralyze on Scratch's side. And more misses.
Oh my goodness. This is not a lucky fight at all.
I was expecting a petrify there, just to take Kaylee out, just to add insult to injury, because that's how the game works.
Yeah, Mystic Quest always wins in the end. have to say though, one thing I do like that is RNG free about this game, so there's no damage rolls in this game. Your damage to monsters is set. Whatever item you happen to be using, whatever spell you happen to be using, it's always going to do the same amount of damage to each enemy each time. The only thing that could alter that would be a much, much different level, but for the levels that we're at, it's very consistent.
I don't know. It feels weird praising the RNG, or I guess in this case it is lack of RNG. Never mind. That's fine.
I wouldn't praise the RNG. Come on. Yeah, if Opus keeps getting these fights with the skeletons in them, he'll probably be level 16 by the time he gets to Gidra. But
16 also lets you survive a very worst case scenario of if Kaylee gets petrified, Ben can actually survive something. I don't remember which attack it is. It might be a quake attack. That he can only survive. Yeah, if the other person's dead, he's gonna take both attacks, and he can barely survive it if he's level 16.
Yeah, so this is the second to last floor before we get to Gidra. But unfortunately, in order to get to that last door, you have to go all the way around the ring, and you have to defeat all the monsters. This is what I'm talking about with this dungeon being lengthy. It's one set of monsters after another set of monsters after another set of monsters. It's a great relief, actually, when you get through this tree, because the next dungeon is much shorter.
Yeah, I want to say there's only, what, 5 or 6 fights on Mount Gale? 6, I guess, if you include the boss.
Yeah.
Just enough that you need to seed.
Unless you get lucky and you get the double vampire, because then you can just do arrow.
Oh, that's true.
But you have to actually get lucky enough to get that, of course.
Getting lucky in this game? Come on.
I mean, don't get us wrong. You do need, like I said, do need to know how to defeat the monster formations. You need to know the boss weaknesses. You need to know your way through the dungeons. But a fair amount of luck doesn't hurt with this game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people complain about, oh, the RNG killed me, blah, blah, blah. But there's actually a lot of situations where you can actually just be fine if you played it a little bit safer. I mean, if your partner gets, one-shot killed by Doom Dance, of course there's nothing you can do about that. But in some situations...
If you're just going through the game and you don't know using Meteor on this enemy and not Flare or something like that, and you're blaming RNG for your deaths, then there's a problem.
Right. I mean, we do complain about RNG, but...
There are places where we can mitigate the damage.
Final 2 fights for Opus. This easy fight and then a scary fight.
Yeah, 3 of those skeletons is going to be his last fight.
They all have instant death, and I think defeat well. So hopefully, since Kaylee can't take out all 3 of them in one turn, hopefully they won't instant kill both characters.
You didn't have any black spells left with Ben. To keeping track of spells with Phoebe, and then once you get all the seeds in the world, it's like, oh yeah, I can just seed anytime, and then you forget to seed.
Yep. Oh, there you go. It takes it out without any issue.
So, Gidra is interesting. Gidra has mostly a lot of status effect spells at its disposal. At its disposal, I can speak. Really, I can. And that's going to be the main problem here. Megan was talking about before that your partner can be petrified. So if your partner is petrified, you really need to hope and pray that, number one, Gidra doesn't petrify you. And,
like that.
Yeah. And that you can get the heal off without being killed first.
I hope you like the wind attack sound effect, because it's going to happen quite a lot in this fight. I'm a big fan myself.
Nice. It's a little soothing. Like, oh, the wind is carrying my troubles away.
Does the Dragon Claw not matter that much for this fight?
If you've reached level 16, no, it's not terribly important once you hit level 16.
I guess the sword does help potentially for the skeletons at the start.
Definitely. And then again, if you're trying to relieve status effects from your partner, it's also very useful.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. That was really good.
Super nice, Gidra. So we've got some Goon Kid going on in the background.
Shoutouts to Goon Kid.
Because it's supposed to say go on, kid, but spacing.
And then because we didn't clear the Fireberg section of the map, the clouds never get removed, so you don't get to see the funny little cutscene of the tree walking across the world.
Right, and even though we have exit, we're not going to exit out of this dungeon yet. We are going to go pick up the lovely meteor spell, which we didn't want to go out of our way for before because it meant a lot of chopping down trees, about 5 to 7 extra fights, but the monsters are gone because Gidra's gone, and we're going to go pick up that meteor spell.
Do any of the other dungeons do that, where you take out the boss and all the other enemies die?
I'm pretty sure that it does not happen anywhere else.
It's really convenient that it happens here.
Hey, it's a nice little quirk. Go into his last fight before Gidra as well. So I hope he has his nice 2 fights here.
His meteor, he checked it again to make sure there wasn't anything else in there. No, there's not.
And now we can go on to India.
Final Fantasy Lumberjack Quest, yeah, that's
Well, if
pretty
they're coming out
for
with
that section.
Fantasy 15 fishing game, I mean, come on.
Small detour to buy the Cupid locket there. That makes you immune to confusion and blind, I think it is.
Uh-huh.
And silence, if
yeah, I think so. We're gonna head into the Fireberg area, and we're gonna pick up the Mega Grenades. In addition to having a bit of an attack boost over the Jumbo Bombs, there is one area in the final dungeon where we must have them.
Yeah, some small bit of plot going on here. You gotta talk to Dr. Wily up here. And then we're off to Mount Gale, where everything is shown the power of Meteor.
Dr. Wily, I like that. But yeah, he's all complaining. He's like, oh, my daughter went off to Pazuzu's tower, but it's too windy. I can't get to her. Go fix it. What the hell is his daughter doing in Pazuzu's tower anyway? God damn.
You think he'd have a bunch of robots at his disposal to do everything for him.
But as Mikan said, we get to arrow and meteor everything in this place. And makes memorizing the battle formations much easier.
That Cupid locket already paying off there. Confusion totally would have messed up that strategy. Also, I feel bad. I've totally been ignoring Scratch's side. He took out Idra with what I'm guessing was not too much issue.
Yeah, he had a really nice Gidra fight. And we got some more Goon Kid on scratchdragon side, because we love the Goon Kid. Goon Kid means that this run is almost over. The pain of Pazuzu's tower is still to come, though.
Yeah, a little bit more than halfway done. Going on his lumberjack quest. While Opus drops meteors on some not Maleficent.
Fair. comparison. That's fantastic.
Yeah, single target arrow and meteor will wipe out anything here. It's really nice.
Yep, and Opus is at level 16 already, so he should be fine for the Dullahan fight in terms of Ben's HP.
Scratch deciding not to check the meteor chest twice, so he's pretty confident he got everything out of there. I'm just joking, there's not actually anything in.
But he'll pick up his Cupid Locket, he'll get his bombs, and he'll also make his way over to Mount Gale.
Now, I've personally never seen the power of using heal on this fight effectively. Does it actually really work?
I was a bit wary of it at first myself, but it actually does. If the problem is that when you're using heal as an attack spell, there's a chance of a lot of different status effects it can do, and of course what we want is paralyze or sleep. We don't want Dullahan to attack. But if you actually get into a good rhythm with it, and you can manage to get the heal spell off pretty much every turn, there's a fair chance of Dullahan not being able to do a damn thing while you're attacking.
Alright, well, let's see if Opus can make me a believer out of heal. I don't know if he's going to use it, but I am definitely curious to see it.
There you go. Yep, that worked on that turn. So anytime that it goes directly from Kelly's turn into Ben's turn, it means that the heal spell had the effect you wanted. In this case, it did not.
Can it work multiple turns in a row?
Or
I guess I'm sorry, let me be more specific. Can you, like, paralyze him for 2 turns? With a single cast, I mean.
It's possible, but very unlikely. Oh no! There's the first Doom Dance of Death. So, most of the bosses from here on out are gonna have that Doom Dance spell, and it is terrible.
Yep. As we mentioned earlier, you don't pick up the life spell in this route, so if your partner dies, just like that, kind of, you have no way of reviving them, so if it's early in the fight, you might as well just take the death and restart.
Yeah, this is one of the only real benefits to using the heal spell to try to inflict paralysis on the Dullahan, is to avoid those horrible Doom Dance attacks. So hopefully Opus will have more luck with it this time around.
Poisoned
Oh,
him.
it looks like it poisoned the Dullahan.
Oh, Dullahan doesn't want any of that.
Oh my gosh, even when it's not you running the game, man, your breath catches in your throat every time they use that Doom Dance.
Absolutely. Well, it doesn't seem to be working out all that well, but also Dullahan isn't doing that many scary things.
Don't jinx it!
Someday maybe we'll see a poison kill.
Oh, that would be awesome. I've never seen that happen.
Good call on the auto there.
Well, either way, I think he would have wanted to heal Ben.
Yeah.
Scratch is going into his Dullahan fight now too after he heals up. So we're back very close again. So Pazuzu's tower and the floor that Pazuzu appears on could really be the difference in this match.
Oh yeah. I hope for both players to have the same floor, regardless of what it is. Just keep the match as even as possible, but who knows. And there, down he goes.
Whew. So one scary fight is over, but Scratch still has to get through his.
Well, I'm looking at his name, and I'm hoping.
Yeah, really, if only it was that simple. I remember when JC was naming his character Goon Kid and he had the worst luck.
I feel bad. I'm the one that suggested that to him, too.
Poor JC. Norma, the hell were you doing in this goddamn tower? Get out of here. And we're gonna make our trek up Pazuzu's tower to see what we'll see.
I think Scratchy ate a Doom Dance or something.
Oh.
So these Beholder enemies on Opus's side here, they actually do reflect magic just like the Uzus did before, so you're going to be seeing the same kind of strats with them of not casting magic and being immune to exit. Looks like Scratch is not trying the heal spell at all, he's just going to try to go full damage with Kaylee.
Yeah, and unfortunately the Delahanna is not weak to the arrow spell, so the amount of damage that you do with arrow and the amount of damage you do with the axe is really not all that different. So most people will opt for the axe just because the animation is a little bit quicker. Wow, he keeps getting really lucky with the time it takes for Ben to wake up from those sleep spells. But with Pazuzu's tower, there's a whole bunch of different floors to go through. 7 in total, including the roof. And until you talk to Pazuzu the first time, Pazuzu is kind of on every floor. So usually our runners will opt to talk to him on floor 3 because there's no extra monsters that we have to kill in order to get to Pazuzu. Pazuzu cannot appear on the roof, and he cannot reappear on the floor in which you spoke to him in the first place. So now it's a matter of finding him on floors 1, 2, 4, 5, or 6. In order to figure that out, though, we have to go all the way up to the roof and then all the way back to the other side of the tower.
Yeah, it'll be a while before we figure out where Pazuzu is. And hopefully they won't cast exit beforehand.
Is that where you cast exit?
I cast exit on midway through floor 7.
Oh no! That's a terrible place!
Yeah, I lost about, I want to say 8 minutes or so. It actually brought the race back pretty evenly, so it worked out, I guess. Well, Scratch finishes up Dolahan there. It's going to be in Pazuzu's tower here shortly.
I think we're on the Beholder floor now, the Beholder hallway, I should say. There's going to be a point in this tower where we get the flare spell, which kicks butt. But anytime that you have Beholders in your formations, as Meekin said, they have Reflect. You can't use the flare spell because it's a wizard spell and it attacks everything at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but the 3 Beholder formation isn't that bad, really. I mean, it's still 2 turnable.
Oh yeah, it just becomes more of a pain in the butt where you have like 1 Beholder in a formation of 2 other random things.
Like the Thanatos, Manticore.
Or the 2 birds with a Beholder, and therefore you can't just magic everything.
Gonna be really low on bombs.
Regardless of how much damage you've already done to the Beholder, if they explode on you, they still do full damage. I hate that so much.
When is the RPG where enemies and players do less damage depending on how much health they've taken?
There's only one instance I know of that, and that's with the Atma weapon in Final Fantasy VI.
I think Advance Wars did that. Does that count as...
I'm not familiar with.
Okay. That's kind of a tactics RPG almost.
But for now, this is just gonna be a lot of climbing and going around. And we're hoping, in terms of time, we want Pazuzu to be on floor 6. Floor 6 is going to be the fastest for both of our players. And then it varies depending on what floor you find him on. 1 is the second fastest, and then 5 by not a whole bunch of difference between floor 1 and floor 5. And then 4, and then 2 is the absolute worst. In fact, if you've ever looked at Almagus's guide for speedrunning this game, he actually says you can rage for quite some time if Pazuzu is on floor 2.
Yeah, it's quite a time difference from floor 2 to floor 4, which is the second worst.
Yeah, in general, I think if you're fairly well experienced with this game, it's about a 10-minute difference, I believe, between floor 6 and floor 2.
But everyone entered this tournament, you know, fully expecting to be trolled by the RNG.
Mm-hmm.
So they're well expected to happen.
Yep.
Opus here is on the kind of the hellway of the game. These manticores have petrify. They can do fire damage, which no one resists, and can be generally kind of scary. But luckily, exit and life both work on them.
Yeah, I was listening to Bowie commentate earlier, and he said in the Japanese version, life actually will not kill the manticores.
Yeah, it works almost as intended, I think, in that version.
That's terrifying.
As far as I know, they are not weak to wind like most other enemies too. Maybe
no, I don't think they are.
Maybe a single target arrow can take one out. I don't know, but either way, it's still scary.
Oh no.
Man. That was almost just enough damage to take her out.
It was, but this is what we're talking about. They have very powerful spells at their disposal, and they are such pain in the butt to get rid of. Oh man,
Ben. Exit.
Come on, Kelly, you can get another life spell off. You can do this.
One interesting quirk with the life spell here is in the same battle, if you have to recast life, it doesn't put it on the enemies. It like defaults it to Benjamin, regardless of what it was targeting before.
Yeah, but if you go from one battle to the next after having used life, it is automatically targeted on the enemy. It's so strange. But life does work on a fair amount of creatures in this tower. It works on the sorcerers, it works on the manticores, it works on the Thanatos, it works on the Lamias. I think it also even works on the gargoyles.
It definitely works on the gargoyles, because you use life on a certain formation of those once you get to max ship. Or I do.
That was that lovely beholder formation we were talking about earlier on Opus's screen.
And here's another one.
Yeah, thanks to that death though, scratchdragon is only a few fights behind Opus. Do have to overcome both jerk birds before things are said and done in this game.
Scratch moving on to the hellway, so I think he's about 6, 7 fights behind maybe?
Yeah, it's pretty close, honestly, especially depending on what happens with Pazuzu's location. And the Pazuzu fight itself, because, you know, even if Pazuzu's on floor 6, he can still troll you.
Oh, Scratch. He scratched used life on Ben, probably because Memory Cursor deemed it so. Just because it's so weird.
Yeah, it is unfortunate with the white spells that you do have to go out of your way to move the cursor sometimes.
So, when is your next match in this tournament?
Actually, tomorrow, and I am expected to get fully destroyed by feral pigmen.
Oh, is that tomorrow morning?
At noon, yeah.
I think Mark and I might actually be joining that race as well.
Oh, well, that'd be cool.
Have some four-way Mystic Quest action. If he wakes up in time, I think that's what we're gonna do.
If he wakes up in time.
Yeah, he said that he might be a little bit later, so I guess we'll have to see.
That's kind of funny. Is he in a different time zone?
Actually, we're both on the same time zone.
Oh. Okay, then. Yeah, I originally had put it for 1 o'clock, but, life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I expect to get knocked out tomorrow.
Life is both weird.
His average, I think, is a lot lower than my average.
Let me take a look. He's 2 hour 39 second. He's got a pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, even his PB is like 8 minutes faster than mine. But that's fine because I can still commentate. We're good.
You win by not having to play the game again.
This is true. So Opus is gonna pick up his Flare spell, and Flare is fantastic for most of the rest of the game. Flare can take out two monster formations like this in one shot, and if for some reason you get 3 monsters in a row, then it'll be Arrow and Flare, single target Arrow and Flare. But we're about to see if Pazuzu is on floor 6 for Opus. So if Pazuzu is on floor 6, then we PogChamp. If Pazuzu is not on floor 6, then we Baby Rage. Stupid
Be the
fights
great
with the
equalizer. Yeah, the beholders just kind of brought everything down.
Stupid beholders with their reflex spells.
Mm-hmm.
So arbitrary.
Oh, there's a nice petrifier from the claw, and here we go. Oh gosh, after a small heal session.
And oh, no floor 6. Oh, the Baby Rage, guys. Oh, the Baby Rage.
I might have spoiled it in chat. Sorry, typed it a little too soon.
But now we're gonna basically kind of start making our way down floor by floor, and we gotta find Pazuzu, man.
Scratch
I love
is
all the
only
Baby Rage.
4 or 5 fights away from his, well, Flare spell, and then I guess shortly after that, we'll see if that Pazuzu was the great equalizer.
Oh my gosh, another beholder in this stupid formation.
All this hype over Flare, and the game's not even letting us use it.
The game knows that I was talking about Flare. That's what it is. To see Flare, did you?
Alright, is he on 5? Nope.
My gosh, not a floor 5 either.
It is the best and third best out now.
Right. I mean, there's not a huge amount of difference between 1 and 5, but oh boy, when it starts to get when you get past floor 4 and you haven't found them, your heart starts to like beat out of your chest. Oh my god, where is Pazuzu?
Absolutely. Am I about to lose 8 minutes for no reason? Or am I actually safe? I had my first floor 1 during my last race.
Floor 1 is nice, but you have to know how to do it properly is the only problem. The first time I had it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, you gotta go a little bit further to hit a switch. And then you can exit out safely.
But like, I didn't realize the whole idea of just going down the stairs once you don't see him on floor 4, so I was like hitting all the switches on the way down.
Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, I had to reread that part of the FAQ because I wasn't quite sure myself.
But it looks like Opus has a floor 4 Pazuzu. So floor 4 is going to mean a couple of extra encounters because what's going to happen is Opus is going to flip the switch here on floor 4, but he's going to have to move Pazuzu out of floor 4 because you can only trap him on the odd-numbered floors. So it'll take 2 extra battles than it would have on floor 5 in order to get to Pazuzu.
Yeah, so after talking to him here, he'll go up to floor 5, and then you have to make quite a walk to get back to where you can fight him on floor 5.
Yeah, you basically have to double back going back across the roof where you came from, and then coming up the other side of floor 5.
Here comes Scratch. He's gonna find out what we got.
No floor 6 for Scratch either! More baby rage, guys!
More baby rage. I won't spoil it this time.
So much baby rage today.
Yeah, there we go.
So now we have to see where Scratch actually finds Pazuzu as well. Hopefully also on floor 4 or floor 5 so that we keep this a nice, close, interesting race. So Opus flicks the switch, he's gonna go talk to Pazuzu, and we're gonna... What is he doing?
Isn't this right? Or is it not right?
He didn't go move Pazuzu to floor 5,
Oh,
and now he's realizing it.
Of course, what am I thinking?
So yeah, you do have to take those 2 extra gargoyle fights to talk to Pazuzu, like, aha, I can still move, screw you, I'm gonna go up to the next floor.
I'm sure this hasn't actually happened, but it also uses 1 extra bomb. He only has 2 or 3 left, I think. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, he only needs 1 for the for Doom Castle, so it should be okay at this point. We're not really using bombs on the enemies anymore now.
Yeah, I think the beholders are pretty much out. Also, Scratch had a floor 5.
Oh, interesting. So this might bring things pretty close to even again. Especially since Opus forgot to talk to Pazuzu before going back upstairs.
Alright, now Pazuzu's on floor 5 for both players.
Another instance of the monsters just being like, nope, no flare for you on Scratch Dragon's side.
A couple more fights for Scratch, and then he can make the same trek that Opus is making right now.
Yeah, all the way back from whence you came. And then we just have to see, is Pazuzu going to be nice, or is Pazuzu going to be a troll? But Opus is only a couple of fights from Pazuzu himself now, so...
As long as the beholders stay away, they should be cleaned up pretty quickly.
Yep. Opus seems to have very good timing with his seeds. I noticed he's got 2 flares left and he's got 2 battles left.
Yeah. That's, I'm a little jealous of that, actually.
Yeah, I know that's a big thing with DDR strats, is that he manages his seeds very well, so he menus as little as possible.
Alright, here we go. So, Pazuzu here has... His gimmick is the Psycho Shield. Psycho Shield? I don't know. He'll start using that on the 5th turn, I believe, and then every 4 turns after that he'll put it up. It gives him an entire turn of Magic Reflect. So you do not want to cast on him during that.
Right, and the problem is unlike the later fight with Zoo, Kaylee is often faster than Pazuzu is. So if in the turn where Pazuzu is removing his Psych Shield, Kaylee accidentally uses Arrow, yeah, that's the end of Kaylee, and you're gonna probably have to restart the fight. But you can totally do regular physical attacks while the Psych Shield is up. The Psych Shield is only to be used against magic attacks.
Yeah, and since Benjamin is always slower, once the Psych Shield turn is going down, Benjamin can, cast Flare without any fear of, it being reflected, like is what he'll be doing right now.
But we don't want to lose out on the damage, so having Kaylee do physical attacks is not the worst thing to do. And Scratch is making his way around on the roof, so he'll be just a few battles out from Pazuzu pretty soon.
It actually lines up pretty nicely with her seeds, too. You have, 4 wizard casts, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 4 turns between Psych Shields, so it actually works out very well. After the first one, that is.
Yeah, oftentimes on the first one, some people will switch to Arrow on the last one, just to get the extra damage in. Again with those beholders! Stupid, stupid beholders. Come on, game, we just want to flare everything.
Opus is playing really risky, but it paid off.
Experiences Opus's, I imagine he's probably counting enemy HP.
Oh, for sure.
Well, the last of the crystals is now free, but we already have the Sky Coin in our inventory thanks to the glitch earlier. We don't need to pick that up. We're just going to exit right out of here, and we're actually going to go into our second glitch of the game.
If you pick up that chest, does it actually mess anything up?
But I'm not 100% sure on that.
You get a 3rd Sky Coin.
I think so. Mental.
So Opus is going to purchase 0 cure potions. He used up all of his heal potions in the tower, so those 0 cure potions take up that slot that they were in. But you want to come down here to Auto to recruit Ruben first, and then use the cure potion, because doing so will put the Thunder Rock item in your inventory. And if you do that before you get Ruben, you actually won't trigger the cutscene where you get him. So you need to make sure you get Ruben first, use the potion, get the Thunder Rock, and then turn around and talk to Otto. Hey, I just found this thing in my pocket.
Yeah, the problem is if you don't do that, if you don't get Ruben into your party and Kelly doesn't leave, you basically end up soft locking. After this little scene with Ruben, them kind of putting water back into the lake to bring Captain Mac's ship back to where it belongs at the dock, you have to go talk to Kaylee to get the captain's cap to actually get onto the ship and activate that part. And if Kaylee is still in your party because you didn't recruit Ruben, well, that's the end of your game.
Yeah, Ruben actually showing us the proper way to use bombs. He didn't learn from Phoebe.
Poor Scratch is having a little bit of a slow Pazuzu fight on the other side, but I don't think it doesn't look like he's taken a death. It's just Pazuzu is trolling him a little bit there.
Oh yeah, he's still in his first animation. Uh-oh. So this is where you start sweating. When Kaylee's petrified. But luckily, if it's a Psych Shield upturn, Benjamin will go first.
Yeah, that's the only time where Benjamin actually goes first. But we're gonna take Ruben onto the ship. We're gonna get Captain Mac back, basically. My theory is, from when I was a kid, my friend and I always discuss this, is that this whole mess, this whole thing with the Dark King and the crystals being captured would never have happened if Captain Mac had actually remembered his cap. And even Pazuzu talks about the fact that, oh, you'll never get to Captain Max. So obviously, this guy is a huge player in this whole thing. So I blame Captain Mac for this entire thing.
That's probably true. Makes as much sense as anything else in the game. Looks like Scratch should be able to close this out.
Yes, Pazuzu is in that paint me like one of your French birds poses.
He sliced him with the sword. Oh, it wasn't enough though. Okay,
There we go.
that worked.
Pazuzu was really low on health. I'll just attack him normally, but it didn't do enough.
Oh my gosh.
And Opus, meanwhile, having trouble with the Thanatos formation because you want this double Thanatos. You don't want any more Beholders.
Yeah, the other formation for that fight is really, really awful, considering its alternative.
Yeah, and this seems to be that top one on the deck of the ship seems to be the only one where you really usually get the Beholder formation. But the ship, as long as you know which way to go, is super short, just like Mount Gale. There's only a handful of fights that you have to do. There's no boss here. It's relatively quick.
Yeah, a lot of the fights you can just take out in a single turn. Without too much issue, really. As long as one of these gargoyles doesn't end up petrifying one of your characters. Scratch avoiding the soft lock, I believe.
Yep. And Opus is through the ship. He picks up the last armor of the game, the Gaia's armor, which is going to give us some extra defense and some extra status status resistances. I think it's thunder, wind, and I think sleep.
Sleep is right, yeah. Tristram decides to show up just for the short cutscene.
It's like, oh yeah, hey, Mac has something to tell you. Thanks.
You start sweating like, oh gosh, I don't get Tristram in my party, do you? Oh, thank goodness, he's going away.
But our sandwich is still not feeling well after his fall, and he's a little soggy from falling in the water, so he keeps falling down. And Phoebe tells him to go to bed.
Next time we see him, though, he'll be rocking out, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm. But we get Phoebe back. Phoebe is Bae. And Opus is going to recharge, talk to Captain Mac, and we're going to go into the final dungeon of this game. So Scratch still about 5-6 fights behind Opus at this point. But we still have the Twin-Head Wyvern, and we still have Zoo to contend with. So it could still be anybody's race depending on the RNG of those two fights.
Yeah, I would certainly imagine neither of these players will be picking up the Aegis Shield.
Especially not if they know how close they are to each other.
Yeah. Myself, I've only just started to skip it, so I definitely see the benefit in not spending that extra minute going down there.
I mean, it is a risk. The Aegis Shield will protect Ben from Paralyze and from Petrify, but as Meekin said, it does take an entire extra minute to go out of your way to get it.
It very often doesn't save the time. Like, even 1 or 2 deaths aren't going to take an entire minute on just the trash mob fights.
Yeah, there we go. Opus is definitely skipping the shield. So here we have more bosses that aren't quite coded correctly. And the Skullasaur is no exception to that. So Skullasaur being undead and not coded with the boss code can both be exited and lifed to death.
Oh, he's opting to use the single thunder and exit rather than life on the boss. I've seen both. I don't even know which one's better.
I don't think it matters terribly much. the ninjas are definitely the bigger threat in that fight than the Skulosaur is.
Yeah, I figure if you life the boss away, you might get a third ninja clone appear in his place, which would be actually pretty dangerous.
Yeah, there is always that risk if you're doing that with Phoebe. Because I don't think the single flare will take out all 3 of the ninjas, because it spreads out damage a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely not. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's not good.
Maybe both these ninjas will do nothing and he'll be fine, right? Oh!
Wow. I guess so.
First try, no problem.
Oh, so every floor here in Doom Castle is pretty much a mimic of the floors in the elemental bosses, dungeons, whatever it might be. So the first floor resembled the bone dungeon. This floor resembles the pyramid. You're going to get the volcano area lava dome, and then you're going to get the mazy similarity to Pazuzu's tower. And with similar mechanics, you're going to have to hit the switches here, just like you had to do in the ice pyramid to get through. So every floor is a little bit mazy, including this one. You have to know which order to hit the statues in.
Scratch looked like he didn't have too much issue on,
No, he got through the boat easily.
Yeah. Taking his quick nap before we're sailing off to Doom Castle.
Yeah, the only bad thing about that ride is if you accidentally mash A too fast, when you get to Doom Castle, you take a nice long ride all the way back and forth again.
I've done it.
Having the sword equip here is, I mean, the speed boost is great, but because we're dealing with older enemies here, like the ice crabs, freezer crabs, I forget what they're called in this state, but they're much slower than a lot of the other enemies at this point in the game, like the ninjas. So they actually end up slowing down the entire enemy formation a bit. So if you do have the sword equipped in this, at least in this part, you're going to see a lot of strike bursts, which is very nice, of course.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that myself. He didn't hit the shortcut statue. Is that even worth hitting?
I never hit it anymore.
I think I did it a couple of times and just determined that it wasn't worth it.
No, not really. Especially if you're just coming at us and you have to switch weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But this will be the last fight Opus has to do before getting to the Stone Golem. And I still can't figure out, like, if you were to fight the Stone Golem normally, the Stone Golem would kind of melt, the same animation as the Ice Golem does. Yeah. Why would stone melt? That is not a thing.
That's some... Flare is pretty hot. It must be, like, extreme.
So weird, though. But this boss is also not coded correctly. We can just exit him away.
Unless... Oh, never mind. Nothing bad happened. Oh, unless...
Unless something like that happens, and then we might have to wait a turn.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Oh no! Scratch opted for the life on the dragon there. And it worked out because he didn't get any ninja clones.
Yeah, he got lucky. Oh my
Opus!
god, Opus!
Opus is not having a good stone golem. And again!
Oh my god, come on, game!
Run! I gotta get out of here.
Oh no! Like, this is usually the kind of RNG we associate with Pazuzu.
And again.
Not with the Stone Golem. Wow, the sword is totally not pulling its weight right now.
I've never had this much trouble with this fight. And there's another one.
And this is absolutely no fault of Opus's. This is totally just bad luck, bad RNG.
Oh. That's good. He did it. As long as exit doesn't miss. Okay.
Oh, thank God. Okay, we're good. Whew. Hopefully the other bosses will play nice with him now.
Holy moly.
But Opus is gonna make his way up to the lava dome-like area.
Lava dome? What's that?
It's fairly easy. Thank goodness. Even though we bypassed it completely, it's that hidden area that obscured Windia for us. The troublesome fight in the formations here is usually the triple Cerberus because, I mean, you saw in the last battle, they have Doom, they have Stone, they have Quake. They're pretty much on par with the Manticores in terms of being fairly deadly.
Yeah, luckily the flare is strong enough to take out 3 enemies with 1 attack, so you can just have Phoebe defend to give a small buffer in case one of them uses an instant kill.
Yeah, but unfortunately, of course, if Phoebe dies or if she's stoned, she can't defend. But also, if she's for some reason, if your partner is blind, they also cannot defend you. I don't really understand why that's a thing. Maybe they can't see you to defend you?
I guess, but even then, you can still use your body, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's such a... the little nuances in this game are very unusual.
Is it just all status effects? I would assume you could still do it with poison.
Yeah, I think it's only blind and of course anything that just kind of KOs you like stone or death.
Yeah.
Then you can't defend your partner. Poison doesn't matter.
It wouldn't surprise me if it did.
Alright, so this will be the last regular fight before Opus goes into the Twin Head Wyvern fight. So the reason that this area is a little scarier than a lot of the others in Doom Castle, Mika mentioned earlier, none of our partners have resistance to fire spells, and of course this is a fire area, so what do you think the boss is going to use on you? It's going to use fire spells. So you actually have to be doubly careful with how much HP Phoebe has here. You can't necessarily let her fall to half HP because the fire spell can do almost 800 damage to her. If we get rid of one of the heads more quickly, though, the amount of fire spells will be reduced tremendously, but it can still throw them out anyways. So it's very touch and go.
Yeah, the start of this fight's a really big damage race just to get him down past. There's the fire spell, 741 on Ben. It actually might do a little bit more on Phoebe, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure it can two-shot her.
Yeah. Her to below half in one fire spell.
Yeah. But I believe with this turn, it should be low enough to where that shouldn't be an issue anymore.
Yeah, but now that the first head is gone, the amount of fire spells that the twin head will use will be much less. Else the resistance is fine. But, I mean, it is a fire creature, so Flare is not going to work here. A lot of the runners will use Meteor until they run out because it is an Earth spell, so it does a fair amount of damage, and then they'll switch over to Arrow so they don't have to waste a turn seeding. Or they don't even need to at all, like Opus did.
Yeah, Arrow does a bit less damage, but it also has a faster animation, so the time isn't really all that different.
The perk you get, I think, of getting rid of one of the heads more quickly is worthwhile.
Yeah, okay, I could understand that. I wonder if, like, it's actually enough damage to matter, like, the difference.
I don't know. I know I see a lot of the more experienced runners doing meteor and then arrow. So
Oh, so perhaps it does then.
So here is the Pazuzu's Tower area. It is extremely mazy, and the bottom part you can actually fall off of.
You fall right back into lava land.
I mean, it's a bit of a time loss, but you don't have to refight the monsters, luckily, when you come back up.
Sure. That is really nice. I don't think I've fallen on this part yet, but I'm sure it'll happen one day.
The only place I've fallen has been in the ice pyramid.
Yep, same.
I mean, we will go out of our way to fall here at one point after Za is defeated. Goddamn Za. I'm kidding, Zoo. But that'll be it. It'll just be a quicker exit, essentially, than having to walk all the way back through the maze. Scratch's going into his twin head fight here too, so see what he does. Oh, Ben's paralyzed.
Bad first turn.
And a death for Opus. He must have had a doom dance. Those Thanatoses can doom dance you till the sun comes down.
Uh-oh. Okay, he's good.
Yeah, that double attack that the twin head does is probably the nicest of its attacks. Also, the little sprite in the overworld of the Cerberus looks like a little green cake.
I do like it. They look like little fuzzballs, but I think a cake looks equally delicious.
Well, the nice thing is that in the actual lava dome area, they're brown instead of green, so it looks like a chocolate cake.
Chocolate dog cake, yeah. It took a few more turns than I think he would have liked, but it looks like Scratch got past the scary part of the fight.
Yeah, it shouldn't take many more hits for the wyvern to go down. Opus is really not having a lot of luck here with these Cerberus fights, though.
No, he's really not. Oh, well.
Cerberus, I mean, it's only a palette swap, so they're still pretty capable of doing everything status-wise that the Gidra did.
Yeah, we got another confuse on Phoebe there, so she lost her turn. Scratch.
Right, and...
Yep, Scratch finishes up Wyvern, so he'll be headed off.
Yeah, and the Cerberuses are not weak to fire, so whereas you can flare pretty much everything else here, you have to use Meteor on those Chimeras.
Oh no, again?
My god, he is having the worst monster luck on this floor.
Every other fight, he's having something go wrong. It's really unfortunate. Thunder. Was that right? That might have been a miscast.
Well, you could use a single Thunder and a Flare. Because the Thunder will take out the Thanatos. But I don't know that it went the way he wanted it to go.
Maybe he didn't use white because it would have brought the Thanatos low enough for them to use Cure.
Oh, it's possible. It would have taken an extra turn that way.
But even if that was the case, I still feel like a single target Thunder would have been a better option. Since the Thunder Flare didn't, or the Thunder Meteor, was it? Or was Thunder something that didn't take out a dog? Maybe you meant to cast
yeah,
Flare
the Meteor
Meteor.
won't really take out the dogs very well unless you've already used white on them. Yeah, this was a difficult floor to learn the formation weaknesses for because there are just so many different ones here. Just like in Pazuzu's Tower. But Scratch Dragon is coming back here with every death Opus takes.
He tried the white strat, and Thanatos just doesn't want to die.
Thanatos wasn't having any of it. Ooh, so...
I think Opus tried the single target thunder this time.
Nope.
Oh no, he did all.
Yeah, I think that's what he meant to do last time. I think he meant to do Thunder and Flare, and he accidentally hit Meteor.
I see. Yeah, I like that strat. It doesn't give like the Thanatos the cure ability, it looks like. Until they fall below like half or something. Anyways, this guy's scary.
Love the jerk birds.
Yeah. He's got Doom Dance, so at any point, if he wants to, he can just kill anyone. He also has the Psych Shield that Pazuzu had.
And he uses it more frequently too, so I think the first time around it's 4 turns and then after 3. But he does have less HP than Pazuzu did, so technically if you get good RNG in this fight, the kill is much faster. You can even skip the last phase of his animation completely.
He also has this bugged attack that he like uses Psych Shield. Oh.
Oh no, Phoebe got crit down.
Oh well. Oh well. I was gonna say it wouldn't have mattered anyway because he was about to die, but he didn't die.
There's that bugged Psych Shield attack.
Yeah, it just does 1 damage, 2 on a crit, so careful of that. Oh, well, there it went.
That's 1.
Scratch is, I believe, just a fight or 2 away. First turn Doom Dance.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's such a dangerous combination because of the Thanatos having the Doom Dance as well.
But I guess the Chimera has a Petrify, so he's no better.
Exactly. I mean, Zoo usually goes first. He's much faster than these two, even Phoebe. So if Phoebe is petrified, then you have to really, really hope that Ben can get the heal off safely.
Just RNG manipulate him to use the Psych Shield attack every time.
If only that was possible.
Yeah, from what I understand, he only uses that attack in this version of the game. He's not really supposed to use it.
Yeah, it's just a very weird bug.
Yeah, it's a very thankful bug, I suppose.
The actual damage is supposed to be.
It turns this very stressful fight into well, it can give you a few false turns of security. And Scratch entering the fight himself, so if Opus takes another unfortunate, RNG time here, this can suddenly be in Scratch's hand.
Oh. And Opus is through the zoo fight. Scratch has a very low Phoebe right now, but luckily Zoo attacks Ben instead of Phoebe. So here's where we purposely fall down, because instead of walking all the way back through the maze, this is much faster.
Yeah, and the reason Zoo is called the final boss is because the actual final boss isn't really much of a final boss.
Well, the strat that we used on him, he actually is pretty horrible to try to defeat. But, this Dark King is hurting, and we've got the cure. So, in an interesting maneuver of overflowing and underflowing and wrapping around his HP, we're going to end up curing with Benjamin, and then curing with BB and Benjamin, and then a final cure with Benjamin. The problem is, though, is if Ben's level was too high at this point, the HP wouldn't wrap around correctly. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I know it doesn't wrap around correctly, and you have to do, you have to alter your strats a little bit once you get to levels 24 and 25.
Yeah, it actually also messes up if you have the claw equipped at this point, so make sure you don't have that. And just like that, it's over.
Right. And Opus is clocked in with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 50 seconds. So, since this is a single elimination, that means Opus will be moving into the next round of the bracket schedule.
Yep, he will be going against Marshvalius.
But Scratch did get through his zoo fight pretty nicely.
Oh god, yeah. So these runs aren't going to be too far apart.
Only a couple of minutes here. But yeah, as Scratch finishes up, guys, please make sure to give these runners a follow. They did an excellent job for you today. I beat you to it.
It was too slow. I needed the Night Sword equipped.
Sorry. I have the speed of cats. Oh yes, Opus does have a ZC after his name, so.
Oh. Hey, I didn't know that. Opus is Opus, nice. Does Opus jump in for...
I'm asking him now.
Okay.
He says he does.
Cool.
Well, hello there. How are you feeling after that?
Pretty livid.
I had some of the worst RNG I'd seen in a while.
Yeah, jeez, that was a rough. Like a lot of that. Like I know I made some mistakes, but like, holy cow, that was a lot of bad.
This is like
bad
almost
RNG.
every other fight, something was going wrong. Up
Yeah,
near the end there.
It was insane. I mean it all started at the Flame Rex fight. I was like, oh my god, here we go. Oh man.
Yeah, but the monsters in the last floor of Doom Castle were particularly trolly.
Yeah, they probably. I wonder how much time I lost from them alone.
Probably a good couple of minutes, actually. You took quite a few deaths and had to restart a few of those fights.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it looks like scratchdragon did not have the best of luck with Dark King there.
I do want to comment.
The two of you were very back and forth for a while, actually.
Oh,
so,
really? That's cool.
Yeah. But you pulled ahead when we got towards the tree.
Oh, gotcha. Did he have a hard time with the tree, or?
Not necessarily. I think your menuing was just a little bit faster.
Oh, okay. Yep. See, so menuing can help somewhat. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, those are pretty rough. Especially, I felt so stupid at Pazuzu's tower. I was going the wrong way for a second. I was like, oh, yeah, I should probably talk to him.
We saw that, yeah.
So Scratch has finished with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 22 seconds.
Very nice.
But again, since this is a single elimination, that means he is not going to move on to the next round.
He is free.
He's free. Nice. Oh.
That's okay. I expect my freedom to come tomorrow.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, watch out for Feral.
Oh, I fully expect to get completely eradicated by Feral.
Oh, well, well, I don't know. We'll see how things go. Who you never know in this game.
I don't, but I mean, his average time is probably about 8 minutes faster than mine, so.
Mm. Well, hopefully Mystic Quest is nice to you tomorrow. But yeah, that was yeah, I don't know.
You
I don't
have
even
the
know where
most
to like.
interesting stone golem I've ever seen.
I was so mad. I was like, I'm glad the mic's off. Like, I'm gonna be straight honest. I was like, rah, 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 rah. Oh my gosh. I wasn't really yelling, but I was just like,
Right.
yeah. Rah, rah, rah. But yeah, I died so many times to him. That was probably like 4 times or something.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, you had such bad luck. I felt so bad for you watching that.
It's okay. Hopefully next run goes better.
I'm sure it will. You've been practicing a heck of a lot lately, I know, so.
Yeah, I've been really trying to pull forward. Been like, hey Magus, let's race. He's like, oh no.
No.
Luckily he's nice enough to race with me, so that's cool.
Well, despite your crummy RNG, still getting, sub 210, I think, speaks to the skill.
Thanks. Yeah, the floor 4 is, yeah. I'm glad I got floor 4 instead of 2, though, at least. I had a feeling, though, like in the pit of my stomach, like things have been going wrong. I was like, I wonder what's gonna happen next. But luckily it was just 4, even though it is not very good, but oh well.
Hi,
Hey,
Scratch. How you feeling after all of that?
I'm ready to throw my controller across the room.
I feel you, man.
I made so many dumb blunders. But no, it was a good race. Congratulations, Opus.
Thanks, man. Good GG.
GG. I didn't think I was actually that close to you. Like I was one boss behind you. I was there like, okay, here comes the 205 from Opus.
If you would have seen my what happened, it was ridiculous. What was going on? All started with Flame Rex.
Yeah, I would definitely go watch Doom Castle.
Oh,
Yeah, that was interesting for sure.
I think every fight went wrong. I'm not even kidding.
At the beginning of the game, I was messing around with some stuff because I was just I guess I was feeling jitters, but I ended up using a seed in a battle. I had to dupe extra seeds. I fat fingered my controls half the time, and I'm there like, I don't think I'm winning this one.
Oh man. Yeah, you guys were back and forth for a while at the beginning, but then Opus started to pull ahead a bit. But you were still always pretty close, only a couple of minutes apart.
Oh, my favorite was the very beginning. I got a crit on the behemoth, and then I missed twice.
Twice, yeah.
I was there like, well, this is gonna be great.
What time did you get your Flame Rex?
Like, I don't even know. I just took down my splits a second ago.
So I died in the
I
last
don't even want to
hit.
think about it.
You guys finished the Flame Rex fight in the very end, only a couple of seconds apart.
Wow, okay.
Oh,
so
really?
we're both really bad. Yeah. I died my first time at the last, like right before he was about to die, he got me because he went first.
Yeah, I think you were both in the crystal animation at the same time.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. What happened during something stupid happened. Oh yeah, he kept killing Benjamin, and I'm there like, oh, I don't know where his life is at, so I'm gonna have to keep raising him.
Yep.
And then
yeah, you had very unfortunate luck with that.
Yeah. What else went wrong? Ghidra went all right. Pazuzu went all right. I got a floor 5. Actually, the thing that might have separated us was the Doulahan fight. I actually died at Doulahan.
Oh, I did too.
Oh, you did too? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think
the game was.
Your Opus was exiting Doulahan very shortly before you entered him.
Wait, no, did I die? I forget. I remember I had some bad luck though.
Yeah, your heal spells were not really working the way they should have been.
You were using heal strats, you monster.
I always do until I need to heal or cure, and then if that just doesn't work, I'm just like, screw it, I'm just gonna attack with Kaylee. Because that's what happened.
This is the first time in the last like 5 runs I've died to Doulahan. So I was just honestly ready to just throw stuff left and right. They're like, really? This is the time you really want to do this to me?
Oh, dude. So everyone has their boss. Like for me, for a while, Twinhead would kill me 5 times every time I ran. I was getting so sick of it. But lately, it's been kind of calming down.
Oh, that's
Really weird. Yeah.
I got a PB the other night. I think I'm only like 20 seconds off your PB now.
Oh, cool.
And,
Nice.
And the thing that walled me there was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So-
Zoo's the bane of my existence.
bane of everyone's existence.
Yeah. My PB is like, it's weird because I have a floor 1 PB. It's like, I wish I had a floor 6. It would have been sub 2 and I would have been done.
Well, you still have the opportunity for that to happen at least.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, good luck to you, sir. You have saved me from a little bit more.
Oh.
What's the word? Torment? No, joy.
Enjoyment.
And torment. This is for all the crap we give this game. I have a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah, good match, dude. Yeah, I'm glad your PB's really pretty low. That's awesome, man.
Thank you. I have to go have a rematch with he actually gave me good RNG this time. I'm like, what are you doing to me, jerk?
Yeah, sometimes he just like, it's either he's like so annoying or just dies with like really easily. It's really weird. There's never really like an in between. Well, at least for me. It's either he's a pain in the butt or he just tears it up. So.
Tears it up is right. I'm gonna keep trying for this. I think I'm gonna go for the sub 2.
Sounds
Well,
good.
good
dude.
luck to you, man.
Sounds
Nice.
insane.
Me too, man.
I think that's it for us right now, but coming up at 8:30 on Speed Gaming 1, there's going to be some more of the Super Metroid Randomizer Tournament, and then at 9:30 there'll be more Super Metroid Randomizer Tournament here on Speed Gaming 2. But that looks like the rest of the night is going to be a whole lot of Super Metroid Randomizer, so if you're totally into that, hey, definitely come and check it out. But there will be more Mystic Quest tomorrow, I know for sure, because I know I have my match, and Meekin will probably be joining me, hopefully.
Yeah, it looks like. Sorry, I was just talking with Mark. It looks like that we might be joining you guys, so we'll have a 4-way race tomorrow.
Right,
morning.
and it looks like Borum and Silverfire are also trying to schedule their race for tomorrow as well, so it looks like a lot of Mystic Quest tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
You never know what's going to happen with this game.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us again. Please give our runners a follow because they are totally awesome. They're even going to go looking for sub 2s. And you all have a lovely evening.
Yep. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Yeah. GG.